Alright, so the new version of Premiere 2019 just came out, and it's always fun and interesting seeing what kind of new things they put in. But for me, there's one feature that I really like, and I'm a fan of color grading. You know, I like to take a lot of time putting it into color grading, make sure the colors are right. So my favorite feature of the 2019 Premiere are these things, these kind of weird looking things. They're actually really powerful for color grading, and if you're new to these, yeah, they're gonna look weird and kind of scary at first, but they're actually really simple. We'll get into it. I just really like that they're putting a lot of these color grading features into Premiere. You don't have to use other programs. It's still not as good as something like DaVinci Resolve, which is like a color grading powerhouse, but it is really nice having these new color grading features. So let me show you how these things work. Let's go into Premiere. I have my little clip here and I have a grade applied already. It's a mixture of Colorista and Lumetri. That's usually how I color grade in Premiere. If you like my look, you can check it out down below. Then we're gonna go into color, curves, and then hue saturation curves. The first one here is hue versus saturation. This one's really simple. You basically just pick a color and you can change the saturation of that color. So you can do this with any color in the image. It's really simple, really easy, but powerful. Next, we have the hue versus hue curve, and this is great for changing colors. So let's say, for example, you don't really like the color of these trees. They're a little bit too green, and you want them to be a little bit more teal blue. So you just choose that color, and then you're gonna adjust it until you find the right color that you like. So for example, if there's a red car and it's not looking quite right, it's a little bit too magenta, you want it to look more, orangey red, you can change it up really quickly, really easily. The third one is hue versus luma, and here we're choosing a color and changing the exposure of that color. So in this example, we're gonna choose the skin tones, which is orange, and we can make the skin tones either brighter or darker, just like that really quickly. It's isolating just that single color and changing the exposure. But this one is my favorite. It's the Luma versus saturation. And this one, it's a little bit more confusing, but essentially what you can do is change the saturation of different exposure values. So you're not just changing the saturation of the whole image. You can, for example, desaturate the shadows or the highlights or the midtones. You get to choose what luminance values you're gonna either add saturation to or take away saturation. Okay, so why should you care about this? It sounds kind of arbitrary. Well, actually, if you wanna be really good at color grading, there's kind of a secret that a lot of people don't know about. And that is that the darkest parts of your image, the deep blacks, should have no saturation or color to them. They shouldn't be tinted blue or green or red or any color. They should just be pure black. And then same with the very brightest parts of your image, the highlights should be just pure white. They shouldn't have any color contamination to them for the most part. Now, these aren't hard, fast rules, but if you look at pretty much any Hollywood film, this is gonna be true. And it's because that's kind of how our eyes see things. When something is completely dark, we can't see anything there, we don't see a color, we just see black. And the same thing goes for really bright things. We don't see color there, we just see a bright white light. It's a really subtle, slight change, but it's something that kind of separates the noobs from the pros. It's one of those little things that ends up making a big difference, even though that difference might not be super apparent as you're doing it, but overall, it just makes it look much more natural. How do we do this? It's really simple and easy. We're gonna start with the left side, which is the shadows, and we're just gonna make this little curve, bring down the saturation in the shadows, and then we're gonna do the same thing on the right side, which is actually the highlights, and we're gonna bring that saturation down. Really subtle, really small, slight change, but it just makes it look so much more natural. And this especially holds true if you want to go for a really heavy grade, a really heavy look. So for example, we're going to start completely fresh from scratch, and we're going to go heavy on the teal and orange, a really contrasty saturation look. We're going to go heavy on this one. So we're going to add the contrast, we're going to bring down the shadows, bring up the highlights, and then we're going to add a ton of blue teal into the shadows, and then the midtones we're gonna go to orange, and then we're gonna add a bunch of saturation. Now that grade doesn't look very good. It's just too much. It's too saturated. The colors are too vibrant. It's too much. You've graded it way too heavy. The hair is blue. The sky is really blue. It just does not look natural. So what do? Well, we desaturate the shadows and the highlights, and boom, right away, it looks way more natural. The hair is no longer blue. The really dark parts are actually black. There's no saturation, no color contamination there. And then same with the highlights. So basically with this technique, you can go really heavy on your grade and still make it look natural. People aren't gonna be like, whoa, calm down, that's a little bit too much. It's a small, subtle trick again, but it does separate kind of the pros from the beginners. These are the little tips and tricks that you need to know if you really wanna get good at color grading. So there we go, that is my favorite feature of Premiere 2019. I'm really enjoying these new color grading tools, and I highly recommend that you check them out because it is worth it. It is gonna make your color grades a lot better, and you're just gonna have more fun doing it when you have more control over what you're doing. All right, that's it for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.